supporting the development of new sustainable transport technologies, and how might this benefit constituencies such as mine of Crawley?
I mean, my honourable friend will know that the UK is a world leader in research and innovation. Over the spending review, we're delivering £86 billion for research and development level. UKRI invests more than £300 million a year in transport innovation, with sustainability being a key focus. And that includes projects to develop new aviation fuel production technologies that could reduce emissions by up to 80%. There's more that we can do here. I know he's passionate about this issue, and either I or my ministers will be very happy to meet with him to talk more about what we can do.
We now come to Shadow Secretary. Welcome her to a new position. Julie Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome the new Secretary of State to her place, and of course her stellar team. The Right Honourable Member for Edinburgh South is so hot that he snared 2 jobs from the guy who just fired him. As Tech Secretary, she replaces the Ozempic of Whitehall, who claimed his digital plan would shear £45 billion of fat from the government. By how much did it cut the civil service?
Let me say to the honourable lady, I believe that using tech and AI to modernise our public services actually enables people who work in the public sector to spend more time on the things that they want, which is serving the users of public services, and less time filling out all the red tape and bureaucracy, much of it which was put in place by her government.
Julia Lopez.
I fully agree with her. But the number of civil servants has risen to a 20-year high under Labour. If somebody in the private sector led a reverse efficiency drive, they'd get sacked. Labour makes him business secretary. For a welfare meltdown, you get to be the minister for the future. And as AI screams for cheap electricity, the Prime Minister cannot sack his failing energy secretary. Why should the tech sector believe that this is a government of delivery?
Because this government believes that science, technology and innovation are how this country will seize the opportunities of the future. And unlike members opposite, we're determined to deliver that change for people in every part of the country, no matter where they live, because our people are our best asset. We want to grow the economy, transform our publics and sort out the mess that was left by members opposite.
Tim Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Too many of my constituents in Lichfield, Burntwood and the villages are struggling with appalling mobile signal. It's a problem we see across the country, and it's often worse in rural areas. What steps is the ministerial team taking to ensure that the government's review of the mobile market leads to a faster rollout of 5G?
We can't ensure everybody in this country benefits from being online and the developments that are there unless everybody is joined up to fast broadband. We have put £1.8 billion over the spending review into making this connectivity work. I'm working closely with Building Digital UK. If he's got concerns about his constituents, he should come in, meet with me and with him.
Good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock. In a moment, we're going to hear from the Prime Minister as he answers questions from MPs in PMQs. But first, our political editor, Beth Rigby, joins us.
With SIM, you can stop cyber.
Mandelson is now caught up in all the Jeffrey Epstein revelations. The Labour peer and diplomat admitting...
He's on his feet. Let's listen in.
Duchess of Kent. Her life was filled with compassion and dignity. She dutifully supported our late Queen Elizabeth II, comforted the runner-up at Wimbledon, and worked anonymously as a music teacher in Hull, typical of her unassuming nature and human touch. Our thoughts, and I'm sure the whole House's thoughts, are with His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, his family, and all those whose lives she touched. Mr. Speaker, turning to other events, I condemn the strikes that Israel carried out in Doha yesterday. They violate Qatar's sovereignty. They do nothing to secure the peace that the UK and so many of our allies are committed to. I spoke to the Emir of Qatar last night, soon after the attack, to convey our support and solidarity. He was crystal clear that, notwithstanding the attacks, he would continue to work on a diplomatic solution to achieve a ceasefire and a two-state outcome. He and I are on the same mind on this, Mr. Speaker. That is why I met President Abbas on Monday and why I will meet President Herzog later on today. I will be absolutely clear that we condemn Israel's action. I will also be clear that restrictions on aid must be lifted, the offensive in Gaza must stop, and settlement building must cease. But, Mr. Speaker, however difficult, the UK will not walk away from a diplomatic solution. We will negotiate and we will strain every sinew, because that is the only way to get the hostages out, to get aid in and to stop the killing. Mr. Speaker, last night Russia launched drones into Poland in an unprecedented attack. I've been in touch with the Polish Prime Minister this morning to make clear our support for Poland. We will stand firm in our support for Ukraine. With our partners and through our leadership of the coalition willing, we will continue to ramp up the pressure on Putin until there's a just and lasting peace. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Just to say to the House, I've sent a letter on behalf of Parliament, a letter of condolence to the royal family on behalf of the sad news of the Duchess of Kent. Right, let us come back to Dr Luke Evans.
Here, 1 year on, the country's seen a Transport Secretary resign over fraud, an anti-corruption minister investigated for corruption, a homelessness minister make tenants homeless, and a housing secretary not pay tax on a second house. Prime Minister, we've also had a Prime Minister who accepted more freebies than any other MP in the last Parliament. Is this the integrity he meant when he came to government?
Well, Mr. Speaker, here's the difference. I strengthened the ministerial code. I strengthened the independent adviser. The Deputy Prime Minister referred herself to the adviser. It was a clear finding, and she did the right thing. Mr. Speaker, contrast that with the Shadow Foreign Secretary. She was found to have broken the code under the last government. What did the Prime Minister do then, Mr. Speaker? He ignored that. There was a resignation, but that was the resignation of the adviser, not the person who's found to have breached the code. And she still sits on their front bench. That is the difference.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After almost 2 decades of the SNP and 14 years of the Tories, Kirkcaldy High Street has been in a state of...
Won't be in this chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After almost 2 decades of the SNP and 14 years of the Tories, Kirkcaldy High Street has been in a state of decline. That's why the Chancellor was right to prioritise Kirkcaldy for multi-million-pound regeneration funding from the new Growth Mission Fund to build on the enormous potential of our town and beautiful seafront. Does the Prime Minister agree that investment over decline is key to this Labour government, and will he ask the new Business Secretary to meet with me to discuss this funding?
Well, I thank her for her question. She's been a tireless campaigner for investment into High Street. Mr. Speaker, I can give her good news because thanks to funding committed by the Chancellor and this Labour government, I can confirm today that subject to business case approval, we will approve millions to transform Kirkcaldy's High Street and seafront. And I will, of course, make sure she gets the meeting she wants with the Business Secretary. The SNP have squandered the potential of these high streets for 2 decades. Next year, people can vote for positive change with a Scottish Labour government.
We come to the Leader of the Opposition, Kevin Bernard.
Mr. Speaker, can I associate myself with the comments the Prime Minister made about the Duchess of Kent? She lived an exemplary life of public service and she will be very much missed. And I also agree with the Prime Minister, as should all of us in this House. We stand shoulder to shoulder with Poland and all our NATO allies against Putin's aggression. A NATO country has just had to defend itself against Russian drones. Now, more than ever, we need our ambassador to Washington fully focused on this issue and liaising closely with America. Does the Prime Minister have full confidence in Petea Mandelson?
Mr. Speaker, let me start by saying the victims of Epstein are the forefront of our minds. He was a despicable criminal who committed the most heinous crimes and destroyed the lives of so many women and girls. The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship.
This is interesting, Mr. Speaker. He says the ambassador has expressed full regret, but the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein have called for Lord Mandelson to be sacked. And just so the House is aware, in 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of child prostitution and sex trafficking that took place between 2002 and 2005. That is the precise period which Lord Mandelson called Jeffrey Epstein his best pal. Absolutely. Was the Prime Minister aware of this intimate relationship when he appointed Lord Mandelson to be our ambassador in Washington?
Mr. Speaker, as she and the House would expect, full due process was followed during this appointment, as it is with all ambassadors. The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret. He is right to do so. He's now playing an important part in the US-UK relationship.
Kevin Bernard.
Mr. Speaker, I asked the Prime Minister if he knew. The fact that he didn't answer indicates that he probably did know. I wasn't asking a question about process, I was asking a question about his judgment. The Daily Telegraph reports today that while Lord Mandelson was Business Secretary, he brokered a deal with Jeffrey Epstein while he was Business Secretary, and that this occurred after Epstein had been convicted of child sex offences. Given this new information, does the Prime Minister really think it is tenable for our ambassador to remain in post?
Mr. Speaker, the relationship between the US and the UK is one of our foremost relationships, and I have confidence in the ambassador in the role that he is doing.
Kevin Bernard.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is embarrassing that the Prime Minister is still saying that he has confidence in a man who is brokering deals with convicted child sex offenders while sitting in government. That is a disgrace. This government has repeatedly refused to declare Lord Mandelson's full interests. And as part of the appointment, there will have been extensive government vetting, including details and timings of Petea Mandelson's dealings with Jeffrey Epstein. So will the Prime Minister publish all these documents, including those about his interests?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as I say, full due process was gone through in relation to this appointment, as would be expected. As for the publication of documents, as she well knows, that's subject to a procedure which includes an independent element. Be subject to the usual procedure.
The Prime Minister cannot answer any questions. That is not the behaviour of someone who has full confidence. The Ambassador should be in the White House talking about how we respond to an incursion into NATO airspace. Instead, he is giving interviews about himself to The Sun. This is a man who already had to be removed from cabinet twice, and now we learn that he was brokering billion-pound deals with Jeffrey Epstein while business secretary. I didn't get a proper answer. He's talking about process. This is not about process. This is about judgment. Just last week, I told him that he should sack his Deputy Prime Minister. They all cheered and congratulated themselves. She was gone 2 days later. His phase 2 is broken, and he's got a totally new front bench. So I will ask him again, will he make sure that these documents are published, and will he actually instruct Petea Mandelson to publish all his correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, she says the ambassador should be in the White House discussing NATO. He is, as we all are, with a number of international calls this morning and on Ukraine, as well as the attack in Doha yesterday. Mr. Speaker, I see she's finally catching up with the questions that she should have asked last week about the Deputy Prime Minister. In the meantime, Mr. Speaker, we have been opened up a new schools-based nursery. On Monday, we had the Defence Industrial Strategy. On Tuesday, we published NHS league tables to push up standards. We reopened Doncaster and Sheffield Airport yesterday. And today, we've set out how we're repairing the concrete in our hospitals.
A load of waffle and whataboutery. All they are interested right now is their pointless deputy leadership election while the country is out there suffering from an economic crisis. The Prime Minister has an ambassador mired in scandal, not focusing on NATO. He lost his Deputy Prime Minister just last week for evading taxes. He's got a new Home Secretary, a new Foreign Secretary, just learning the ropes, not able to help with this issue. We have strikes crippling our capital city and damaging our economy. He could use minimum service legislation, which we introduced, to make the lives of the people out there better, but he won't because he does not have the backbone to face down the unions. The unions are running this government. All the deputy leadership candidates are chasing after them. And while with this government, it is more strikes, more scandal, more chaos. And the link, Mr. Speaker, isn't the link between all of this, his bad decisions, his bad judgment, and his total weakness.
Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, we need tighter security.